Yeah, leading up to, well, it was a little while leading up to Thanksgiving because it took a long time to all roll out. Do I get to tell it now?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Let's do it.
So, I believe that it started like this, where we were in Arizona hunting coos deer, and we went on an overnight jaunt from an overnight jaunt, like a spike camp or cold camp, and ran out of water. And we're down in this canyon, and it just looked like the prettiest water you'd ever lay eyes on. And I made some comment about how I bet you don't even need to purify this water, it's so nice. And the other guy's like, are you insane? This is Arizona, there's no water. So when you do find water, everything's been
there.
Everything's been there.
Everything's poked in it.
Yep.
So we iodined it and put iodine tablets in there. And it was real cold water. And I just let it sit there a couple of minutes. It got that nice brown tint to it. Even though the tablets were like undisturbed in the bottom of the bucket yet. And I drank my water. From there, we go to California and shot a wild pig there. And I had hunted this place before and got really bad poison oak. So this time when I was there, I watched out and never touched any poison oak. But killed a pig, and apparently this thing enjoys rolling in it. Which other pig hunters have told me they do. They're like, dude, you can get massive poison oak because pigs roll in poison oak. So about 14 hours later, usually poison oak takes 48 hours or so. 14 hours later, I had poison oak sleeves. Then I apparently was... If a fella goes without a shower for a while, he tends to scratch in areas he might not normally scratch.
Sure.
So...
Well, I normally scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That explains
so,
Bill.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
imagine doubling that with extra scratching from having not showered. And you can imagine that I had like poison oak sleeves, a poison oak waistline, and then a poison oak groinal area.
Nice. Poison oak codpiece.
Yeah.
Jockstrap, yeah.
And
Fantastic.
go down to it was so bad I went to the emergency room. I mean, I was hurting. So
Dude,
Then you got to show them.
that makes me crazy.
they
Yeah.
put me on
I got
Let's see your
they
ass.
put me on prednisone.
Okay.
And apparently prednisone, which is a powerful steroid, apparently prednisone can diminish a brother's ability to combat infections. From there we went to Montana. Now it's been long enough where I've forgotten all about this water situation.
Sure.
But I was standing there one morning in the pre-dawn darkness, drinking some coffee in ankle-deep snow, and I get this feeling like I have to go make a diarrhea. So
Have to.
yeah. And I'm talking about how something's not quite right with my stomach.
Right.
And this progresses throughout the days. And I'm now starting to have chills and like sweaty periods. And I'm like spending a lot of time crouched in the snow. And by the final day of our shoot, a couple days away from Thanksgiving, we were packed in with llamas into this area. And the guys are loading up pack llamas. And I'm curled up in the fetal position, trying to think if it's possible to ride on a llama like a horse because I can't get out of the hills. I get back, sicker, get home, and go to a doctor, and I say, like, something's really strange in my gut. Like, it's like there's a sea monster living in my gut, you know? And he says, come back on Monday. And by the time I left, it was... I went down to a pharmacy to get some anti-cramping thing. At that point, I knew that I couldn't make it home, and I had to call my wife to come get me. And that night, the pain was so bad I went to an emergency room. But it was Thanksgiving. They said, you should stay. I said, well, I really want to go home. They said, we'll discharge you, but let us know if anything happens. I went home and then started passing blood. And I'm not talking like blood. I'm not saying that it was like bloody what I was passing. I was passing blood. You could have taken
straight up red crimson blood.
right.
You could have taken this and given someone a blood transfusion. It was pure,
Straight up
unadulterated,
blood.
just like
that's-
blood,
my
man.
inside
You could.
joke.
I thought the Red
How's that
Cross should
working
come over
for
and
you?
bag it up. They could have bagged it up and used it in a blood bank. So I go back. They admit me to the hospital. Promptly, a guy steals my phone in the hospital.
Bonus.
And I'm passed out on morphine, right? How does he not know? He doesn't know what's wrong with me. How does he not know that I have amnesia? I've been hit by a car,
Yeah.
as far as he knows.
Sure.
I've lost all memory.
Yeah.
And the only way they'll ever be able to connect me with my family
your
would be
phone,
through that
that's right.
phone. But just pure callousness.
He needed that more than you did, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needed to call someone.
Sure.
Sure.
And then he didn't turn it off. So we continued to call throughout the day, and it would just ring to voicemail. And I kept picturing him going like, should I answer it?
Yeah.
We're sending him text messages. Like sometimes it's a nice message, sometimes it'd be a really mean message.
Yeah.
Just love anything. So I lost, I haven't weighed that amount since I was probably 10.
How much weight did you lose?
I don't know, I never weigh myself. But I could just tell by looking at myself, I was skeletal. Mm-hmm. You know? And people, like, if you lose weight, people will dog on you about it. You gain weight, they don't talk about
Don't
it.
say a thing.
Totally.
People are always like, oh man, you look like hell.
Yeah.
You know, people, like, if a guy comes in fat, people aren't like, you look like hell.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's like, so there's such a
Totally.
stereotype
Yeah.
in skinny people,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I went through this period like 2 summers ago where I was just freakish, trying to get in shape. And some guy goes to me and goes, you been snorting coke? How come you're so skinny?
Yeah, you would never say like,
Nice thing to say.
you would never say
That's
you've been
a
eating
compliment.
bonbons. You look so fat. You'd never say
Right.
that to somebody, man.
No.
You know, drove me nuts.
So the option of the whole thing is you contracted giardia from the water.
Yeah, they said it was. Here's the thing: when I went into the emergency room, they put me on intravenous antibiotics. So when they went to take the culture out of my, let's say, my diarrhea, they never got a positive culture. But they always felt that the symptom, because what I wound up with, what the pain was from, was I had a colon infection. So they were calling it colitis. So I had a stomach bug, which gave me a colon infection. I got to go back in for a colonoscopy. And
Which
I'm,
is fun, by the way.
I know, I'm
yeah.
a month away from being 38, and technically I shouldn't have to have a colonoscopy for 12 years.
No, right.
Technically.
Until you're 50.
Right.
So I got to go in there and have that all taken care of.
Right.
Always the early achiever.
Because they're wondering if I maybe
Yeah.
something's not right in there. So the best guess is I contracted a waterborne parasite. Some of the other guys had diarrhea issues, but mild. I contracted a waterborne parasite, got poison oak, went on prednisone. It diminished my ability to battle whatever's living in my gut. They thought it was consistent with Giardia or E. coli. Gave me a colon infection, and then I came out. I couldn't walk across the room without getting out of breath.
Oof.
It was awful, man.
Man.
It was awful.
As well.
And I
Sounds like a
wound
good
up in the
time.
hospital with the heart things hooked up.
Saw the picture. Saw the picture.
It's cool.
Yeah.
With tubes everywhere.
Yeah, and I had already diminished, man. Physically diminished.
Yeah, you didn't look good.
No. I'm bulking back up now, though. You can see it.
Oh, you're huge.
Yeah. I just tore the arm off this side.
Yeah, no doubt.
My armchair's missing.
I was going to mention, you're looking
Well, we
a little
figured
fat.
that since you're in Seattle, occasionally, briefly, that we would send you back with something less than Giardia or E. coli.
Yeah.
There's other things to
Other
collect.
things to collect. You don't need to go out and collect infectious diseases.
Where'd you get this sweet mug?
My wife.
She made that?
She's the
She
best.
makes this, yeah, she-
She made that. Yeah, she turned it out on her.
Yeah.
You know, put it in
Fired it
her.
in the oven.
You bet. Fired
made
up
it-
the
she
old
made it
brick
in
oven.
China.
Yeah. Well, she
name is
travels.
China.
Her name is China. Made by China.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was a typo.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is much better to bring home.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing too, right? Since we scrimp on the coffee cups here in this building,
You're good to
you
go
can
now.
actually use a real coffee cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys actually have me drinking out of a paper cup that someone found in the garbage because apparently they've
Hey.
banished paper cups here.
Well, budget
Hey,
crisis.
listen. You know,
We recycle
it's hard
here.
everywhere.
We recycle here, and it goes in order. Joel
Also-
used it last week, and then
That's
Bill,
right,
and
that's
it,
right.
now it's to
That's-
you.
That's the cup.
It wasn't an
That's-
environmental
that's
initiative.
the cup.
No, that cup is
It
4
was
weeks
for
old.
budget.
That's the first though. We got more for you.
We got more
for you.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Man, this
we
is
wanna
very
make sure
kind.
you don't go back with we want you to go back with things that you can actually.
Yeah, you're used to going to said location and grabbing a little something from there, and then
Yeah.
this location grabbing a little something from there, and we're going to get you going in a variety of collections, and then you take it
in
from
a
there.
positive direction.
Absolutely.
That's good because when I brought
The
that pig
hospital.
home, my wife, I can't convince her to eat that wild pig because she feels she's going to get like an intestinal
Itch.
case of poison oak.
Itch.
And I
Yeah.
can't convince her that can't happen. I'm just assuming it can't.
You can't
happen.
convince me that
Can
won't
you imagine,
happen.
though, when that gets in your head,
Oh yeah.
picturing that inside
Yeah.
you? No.
The first
You're
time
lucky.
I was hospitalized once, not hospitalized, I went to the hospital once because we were burning poison oak. And you breathe that in.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not like burning,
Yeah.
when you see
Tumbleweeds.
burning
Tumbleweeds,
narcotics
yeah.
and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's like worse than that.
Oh, bad news.